Welcome to part 2 of the Brian and Kendra show with Connie. We are going to roll into some more information. We ran out of time and we got lots of good stuff.
Do you remember that time that we had a snowball fight with Connie?
Yes.
Connie remembers too.
Oh, I loved it.
Connie is the best snowball fighter.
It was great.
So a couple of weeks ago it snowed. I guess by the time this airs, it'll be about a month ago. We had a decent little snow. And Cassie in our office. Did you get to work very much with Cassie Dominguez?
No.
Okay.
Some.
So
yes.
I think she was starting about the time you were kind of retiring.
Right.
And so she doesn't know you as well. She just knows you a little bit from the bank. And she said, we should have a snowball fight today. And I said, we already did that with Connie Rolen. And she goes, what? Connie Rolen? I said, yeah, she's a good snowball fighter.
That was awesome. We should have chased Brian down and rolled him in the snow, actually.
You know, he
like
signs my checks. He signs my checks.
He does like to win. Yes.
So it might have got messy.
He was throwing twice as many snowballs as we were. But anyway, we did hit him a couple of times.
Yes.
It was fun.
You're welcome.
We do have fun. I think that's one of the things that sometimes a consumer only sees the bank as an institution.
Right.
And just the brick and mortar walls and everything is nice and professional and suits and ties. And I think sometimes it's hard to recognize that our lenders are just real ordinary people.
Right.
And I think that it's so important for people to know that your lender might be the best snowball fighter.
Well, and I don't know how many people saw us sled down that hill out at Bank 7, but at my suggestion, my husband brings in all of our snow gear and everybody puts on stuff and we go out and sled down that hill. So
I love it.
Awesome.
I mean, there's nothing better. And when can we get an office with the hill?
Yeah, it's okay.
we can borrow that hill
She's
out there
requesting
anytime we want to.
Yeah, so she's requesting to move.
Already, this is a new building. You haven't
I
even
just
worked.
didn't unpack everything.
Don't unpack it. You're going to be moving.
Yeah.
That's not true. It's still in boxes, but it's at my house now. Okay. All right. So, Connie, thank you for coming back.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you. I really do, though. We had such a good working relationship with you. And I always appreciated the way that if I'd come to you with a question, you would really make sure I understood. You didn't just have an answer and be done. Now, do you get it? Like, are you with me? And I always appreciated that. So, okay, we talked about building credit. We talked about how in order to build your credit, you need to have the 3 lines of credit, a bank loan, 2 credit cards, 12 consecutive payments on each one.
Right.
And so that's how we build our credit. But I think, unfortunately, with the season that we're in, we're starting to hear of some people that are hurting. And so for someone who right now knows, I am ruining my credit, what can we do what can we tell them? So when this is over and you get back on your feet, this is how you rebuild. Is rebuilding the same as building? Is it harder? Is it easier? What's it look like?
Well, okay, so building credit, you don't have any negative impact already. So you don't have any collections or, medical collections or charge-offs or anything like that, bankruptcy, whatever. But when you are rebuilding your credit, you have had some issues. You have been late on payments, you have some collections, or you have some judgments. So what I like to do really is to get a copy of that person's credit bureau. And like I said, you can go to annualcreditreport.com and get a free copy. I like to look at it. I like to analyze it and determine what is going to be the best route for this person. Paying off collections is not necessarily the best thing. Leave those for right now.
That is so interesting.
It is.
Can we pause and talk about that now, or do you want to come back to it?
Sure, we can talk about it.
Why? Because and let me tell you where I'm coming from. If I see debt and I think that I'm like, it's got to be paid, it's got to be paid, it's got to be paid right now. Like debt makes me an anxious, ugly person.
Okay, so not necessarily debt, but let's use those collections.
Okay.
Let's say you have a few medical collections on there and they've been on there for a couple of years. They could be hurting your credit by about 10%, but they're not going to be hurting your credit that much. And especially if you have worked out a payment plan with them and started making payments on it. But the collections, they're already there. So that's not money that you've borrowed. I mean, money you owe, yes, but you didn't go into an institution and borrow money. It's not a credit card. So now to build your credit, you've got to have credit to build your credit. So you got to have those 2 credit cards, 1 bank loan. So start with those and work with a lender. Go to your lender, whoever you feel comfortable with. They will tell you whether to pay those collections off or not. But if you paid those collections off, say you had 3 of them, you paid them off this month, bang, 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 it's hurt your credit score because you paid it off.
Okay, that is so hard to understand.
Anytime you open new credit or you pay anything off, it immediately negatively affects your credit score.
Because now the credit isn't on there to give me a score.
That's right.
Which is one of the things that I think people don't quite grasp. In order to have a credit score, you have to have credit.
Yes.
So by paying off the collection, I paid off the credit, boom, there goes my score again.
Right.
Or maybe not all the way, but
then you're going to be starting all over again because now you paid those off. But let's say you open those 2 credit cards. You have to use them every month because every month the credit bureaus receive your credit from each lender every month. And so they're going to show that each and every month. Let's say that you missed a payment, an emergency came up and you were late on a payment and then you paid it. So now that lowered your credit score. But credit is ever evolving. It's not something that starts and stops tomorrow. It's something you can always fix. I don't care if you're 18 or you're 99, however old you are, you can fix that credit score. So start making those payments on time. And just because I've seen some people, because they got late on a payment and then they got some money, they paid it off on a credit card. Don't ever do that. Even though you were late, continue to make those monthly payments every month. And within 24 months, that one payment that you missed won't even be showing on the credit bureau anymore.
That's exactly what happened to mine. So my credit money is automatic pay. It's set up to pay the whole balance every month. Well, I returned something. They credited my credit card. They counted it as a payment. They shut off my automatic payment.
Oh.
So then the next month, it showed late. I called them, hour conversation, got it fixed, made my payoff. Then the next month, the same thing, because they did this weird credit thing to fix what they messed up, what it messed up. So it showed that I made this another payment. So it shut my automatic payment off again. I said, this is dumb. You guys are killing me. I don't have time to babysit you and do my stuff. Your system should work this way. So
Connie, he really did say it like that too.
And so I said, if we can't get this squared away, I'm just gonna have to cancel this because I have too many things moving. And so the next month it does it again. I was furious. Now I'm a whole month behind.
Yes.
I'm a whole month behind. I'm 31 some days past due on my payment because I don't even I have somebody that puts that stuff in my deal. I know, but I don't. I wasn't hands-on.
Okay.
As much as I should have been.
And you should be.
I should be, but I was like, it's automatic-ish. So yeah, I canceled it, paid it off, and I was 31 days late. So it branded it right into my credit score.
However, you could dispute that because that was their error.
Yes.
And I would handwrite them a letter, a long letter.
It was a year ago.
And I would, a year ago. Again. Yeah.
I'm not quite back to my 8, but it won't take me very long.
Yeah. But anybody that has any dispute, whether you are repairing your credit, you got to see your credit to know what's on there. So if you need to repair it, if there are collections or even judgments or whatever that's on your credit, you need to dispute whatever is in error. Mm-hmm. Get that started, but also get started with your 2 credit cards and your bank loan. And just continue. I have a loan that I made a guy in Laverne. He had no credit. He used a local bank that didn't report to credit. I don't know if they do anymore or not, but he started out with no credit. I had him do exactly what I'm saying today.
Right.
Excuse me. In 7 months, he had over a 600 credit score.
Wow. In
a year, and he was saving money.
Right.
In a year, he bought his dream home. And of course, it's probably not his dream home now because it's been so many years ago, but he was so excited. The excitement of the people.
Yes.
When you help them to understand credit. And credit is not that difficult. It's not that difficult to understand. And going into a bank or, any institution where you're going to borrow money, don't be intimidated. Just suck it up and go on in there and talk to those people and spill your guts and let them help you out.
Yes, I agree. I mean, because I'm one that does make me uncomfortable. Like, I would rather do a lot of things online or over the phone than have to run into someone at Walmart that's going to know all my business, which I don't even have business, but you know what I'm saying.
I understand, but they also sign a confidentiality form that they cannot discuss this with anyone.
Right.
And I definitely take that to heart.
I think the other thing that I found once I began real estate and really began to meet the people that were sitting behind the desk is like you. I think all of the lenders that we work with here in Woodward really care about people.
I agree.
And so it's not the same as again, that feeling of it's just a bank, it's a bunch of suits, they don't really know me, they don't care to know me. They do. They really want what's best for me.
Right.
And what's best for me actually helps them too. I realize this, but they don't want to put me in a negative position.
Right.
And they want to give me the best possible information so that I can make the best choices so I can come back and get the best loan.
Right. And so, you can tell your friends.
Yes, and tell all my friends, and they can tell their friends.
Yes.
And so I do think that is such, but it's difficult whenever you're fresh, you're starting out, and you just don't know. So
and like you said with your daughter, I think she felt intimidated when she came in.
It probably
she's
didn't help
young.
that I was holding her hand because I was.
But you did leave the office. You let she and I just sat there and talked, and then of course we talked later over the phone.
Right.
But we got that initial meeting and discussed some things, and I think she felt a lot more comfortable once she had that face-to-face meeting.
Absolutely. And even to the point, because again, so Anya I think she was just 21 when she was doing that, 20 or 21. Such a young age to be doing something so independently. But she felt so comfortable that I didn't get hardly any calls about what about this, what about this, what about this. Like, she really just connected with you. And at that time it was you and Melinda. And she really was able to do all of that with you, which again goes back to our local lenders you can walk in and you can develop that relationship.
Right.
We believe in our small market real estate is relationship driven. We 100% believe that relationships are the only way that we can effectively sell homes, because we don't really care about the houses. We care about the people that go into the houses.
Right.
And so we know that that's the same with our local lenders. So I think it's really important for people to just hear that you're a real life person. And even though you're retired and you're not the person, I think you're the perfect picture of what we can expect whenever we find a lender in Woodward.
Right. I think that you can walk into any of the lending institutions in Woodward, and you can sit down and take a list, ask questions.
Yes.
Don't just take my word for it. Ask them what their thoughts are, and how they view the credit and repairing credit and the loans.
I love it. Okay, so with repairing credit, I'm not going to immediately pay off my collections. I'm going to talk to somebody before I do that and make sure it's the right thing for me.
Right.
What else do I need to be looking for on credit repair?
Well, so of course, if there are any judgments, you have to get those taken care of, because you're not going to get a mortgage loan with a judgment. And then you want to go into bankruptcy, because that's going to show on your credit. Foreclosure.
I do. I want to talk about bankruptcy and foreclosure. And I realize that this may not have an exact answer. But I think that's another thing. Sometimes we think, I had a bankruptcy, I'll never be able to buy a house again. I had a foreclosure, I'll never be able to buy another home. And that's not true.
That's not true.
So tell us why that's not true.
Well, with a bankruptcy, it's going to take 1 to 2 years for that bankruptcy to get old enough that someone is going to make you a home loan. And that's what we're looking at here, is home loans, because any other personal loan, car loan, or whatever, you can go out the next day and get a loan. But mortgage loans are different. So the bankruptcy is going to negatively impact your credit score, maybe even close to 100 points. We don't really know. Foreclosure is going to do the same thing. But the bankruptcy is worse because you have deleted all of your credit.
Right.
Or the majority of it. You may not have deleted student loans or whatever.
Sure.
But the foreclosure, if you have that, and of course, if you're getting into a foreclosure, you should go into your bank, call your lender, talk with them to see if you can do a short sale, A short sale is not going to hurt your credit as much as a foreclosure.
Right.
But let's say you do have a foreclosure on there. So you go into a lender and talk with them and ask them, if I'm wanting to get an FHA loan, how long do I have to wait? Do I have to wait 2 years? But even though you have the bankruptcy or the foreclosure on there, think about all the other credit that's on your credit report.
Right.
So you've got credit cards. You've got to make those payments on time. You don't want to utilize more than 30% of that credit limit. You've got to make all of your car loans, any other loans that you have that's going to be showing on your credit. You need to make those payments. Now, let's say you have a collection that's with the hospital. You can go into the hospital in the business office and make a payment arrangement with them, request them to pull that from the credit bureau,
Okay.
and start paying them directly. Of course, the very best thing would be if you have been in the hospital or have medical debt, make arrangements with them before it ever goes to collection.
Sure.
And so, of course, within the last couple of years, medical collections have been treated differently as far as credit. So they don't show on your credit report as quickly as they used to. So they may show within 6 months or a year. But you've got that 6 months or a year to take care of that, to go to those people. And even if you're behind on a loan at a bank or whatever, go in and talk to them. Maybe you can make a payment and a payment half the next month, get it caught up, make your payments on time. This is going to rebuild your credit. But you have to have credit to have a credit score.
Yes. So foreclosure, we had talked earlier off the air that like the foreclosure always in my mind was like the worst thing. And what you had commented was that falls off, so it hurts your credit, but it doesn't keep hurting your credit. I think that's one of the things that I think I have this in my mind. Once it's on there, that it just keeps hurting me and just keeps hurting me. It doesn't keep lowering me. It's that time game again. Just like whenever I was building credit and I needed 12 months of consecutive payments to build it, it's not a never, it's a building game. It's a time.
Right.
And so we're in that building season. We just have to make sure that we just keep on keeping on. That's the real point.
Yes. Well, a foreclosure is going to stay on your credit for 7 years, but the older that foreclosure is, the less it's going to hurt your credit as you're building credit.
Right.
And the bankruptcy is going to stay on your credit for 10 years. And of course, it also will not hurt your credit as much as it gets older. But with a bankruptcy, you got to start all over. With a foreclosure, you've got that one loan that you've got to overcome.
Okay. Overcome. We can do it. We're overcomers. All right. What else did I have on my list, boss? Because we had some good things, but now I don't remember which notes were which notes. Oh, quick. I want to talk about short sale really fast because you had mentioned if a person can go into their mortgage company and discuss a short sale option versus a foreclosure. So I know we talked about short sales, but I just want to make sure everyone understands that a short sale is when you're able to negotiate with your mortgage company to sell your home at less than what the mortgage still is owed, what is still owed on the mortgage. And so that doesn't always come into play, but sometimes it does. And so you need to get a realtor involved and talk to your mortgage company and let's get that house sold. So if you know that that's you, like you're a couple payments short, or if you know you're going to be a couple payments short,
it takes
I think it's
time.
usually 3 months that it has to be late, but it could be different for your mortgage company. Let's call them. Let's see what we can do to help you and see if we can get you out of that position before you hit the foreclosure. If you're going to be homeless anyway, let's do it with less impact.
Yes.
Right?
Very, very good advice. Yes. Yes.
Yes. So that's what a short sale
So
is.
anytime that you're late on anything, the number one key is call your lender. Talk to them. Communication. It
Always.
is. Yes.
Okay. The other thing, I want to talk about this. This was off the air. Or I think, I don't know. What did we just talk about? Yeah, this is how my brain doesn't work. Okay. We're talking about keeping credit cards forever. Did we talk about that on the air or did we talk about that off the air?
On the air.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Keep your credit cards forever. I really thought that was on the break, but just really? Am I that mixed up? Keep the oldest
just
credit
keep
card
the oldest
forever.
credit card forever because
forever.
yes, I think we did talk about that off the air.
Okay.
But we can't, you can keep your credit card forever. Say you have a 30-year mortgage, you pay that off, it's done. So that 30-year history is over with. But if you had a credit card that you opened the same time that you opened or even earlier that you open that mortgage, it can continue on into 40, 50 years or whatever. Right. And as you retire, you're not going to have hopefully you don't have a house payment anymore. Hopefully you're debt free. But you will continue to need credit. So you still need that age on that credit card when you retire, in case you have an emergency or something comes up and you need to borrow some money. You still need to have credit.
So, see, this is something like I'm not sure that I'd really factored into my own. So when I was going through my divorce, and I came and I sat down with you and I said, I think I'm going to need to buy my own house. And at that time, I think I was still 1099. I wasn't W-2. Yes. I always get the W's mixed up because I don't really care as
long as I got a paycheck.
As long as I've got the job to go to.
Yeah.
Okay. So we sat down and you said, and I had been, I had made a couple of changes in my career. And so I had come back to real estate is what I had done. And you said, you might need to go ahead and look for a W-2, and which I promptly did. But here's one of the things that you said. I don't even know if you realize that you said, everything had been under my ex-husband. And so I did our paperwork and I paid our bills and I helped him. I filled out all of our stuff and handed it to him to sign when we got loans, but I never was the first one. And I remember like one of our home loans, it was actually Tony Halsey mid-first way back in the day. And I really was, I don't know why, but I thought there's no way we're going to get this house. It's because I really wanted it. Man, I really wanted that home. And it's not very often that I'm like, I want this house. I wanted this home. And so it wasn't a house, it was a home. And so he said, why are you so nervous, Kendra? You could buy this on your own. And I thought, I could not. I really was so firmly established in marriage that I didn't quite understand how important it was to be individual. And so, bless my ex-husband's heart, right? When I came in and I spoke with you, you said, also, would you have a credit card in your name? And all I had was like a department store card in my name. And I said, no, I'm on all of his stuff. And you said, oh, like I could see the horror on your face. And I thought, oh no, I really screwed up. Like I was just, oh no. And you said, you've got to get a major credit card in your name, Visa, MasterCard. I can't even say the words. Like, I was like, oh, okay. And so I did. But a couple things that I saw then, because around the same time, he was getting ready to start taking me off of his stuff. This is where we were in this whole process. And so he had removed me from his MasterCard and my score dropped significantly. Yes. Which of course was like this horrible, like, ugh. Because at that point, my score actually was higher than his score.
Why did your score drop?
Because I lost a line of credit.
Yes. But the age of that credit?
It was, yes, because it was like from 1996 or something. Yes. Oh my gosh.
There's more that goes into that other than just, I lost that credit card.
But I will say, so my credit did build back up pretty quickly. And I didn't expect that and was so thankful. And then I applied for my own credit card, which of course dropped it a little bit again. Right. Because of the credit pool. Mm-hmm. And then I did all the things that you had told me to do. And it began to build again. Good for you. But it was really, it's so interesting. And like, I feel like I'm that old woman now, like preaching to these kids that probably already know it all. Mm-hmm. I did not understand, because I still believe marriage forever. And I'm thankful that the Lord has blessed me again in this way. But like, I see now how important it is that I have mine. What if something happens to him? I still need to have my own credit score. That is because of my own credit. Mm-hmm. And the same with him. And so with my daughter, for somebody who's already kind of a feminist, it's hard to like be like, well, don't push her too far over the edge, Kendra. Mm-hmm. But I mean, to tell her, sister, you got to have this for you. Don't ever get rid of this. This has to be for you. Right. That was so important to me. But one of the things, like, I think sometimes people hear me and they're like, this lady's crazy. My age and up, like, women didn't buy stuff on their own. They didn't have their own credit cards. We often were with our husbands. And even in the last 5 years, I've seen more single women buy their own home than I'd ever seen in the 15 years prior to that. And I think that there's times are changing, but I'm not sure that my age group knew enough even to share that with their children. So that's why I'm like, everyone needs to build their own credit. Everyone needs their own credit card and their own lines of credit. everyone.
You can have
man.
joint credit, but you do need to have some individual credit.
You do.
Because you really don't know what. And the credit card, again, that can be your oldest credit. So that
Right.
individual credit card can work for you forever. And you may not need it. Who knows whether you will ever need it.
It doesn't matter.
But
Right.
it's just that safety net. It makes
Helps
you
with your
feel
insurance costs. It helps with your
Right.
Yes.
that
Right.
credit score does.
Yes,
Yes.
that credit score. Yes, insurance cost, any type of loan that you're ever going to get. So why not be disciplined and be responsible
Right.
and get the very lowest, pay the very lowest interest rate out there.
I just wish I'd have known when, I wish you could have told me that at 19. You know what I mean? I'm not sure I would have listened because I remember me at 19, but I wish to goodness. And so that's why I'm always like, I want to say all the things that I didn't know, as dumb as it may make me look. I want everyone to know what I didn't get, what I didn't understand.
Right.
So anyway,
I did
okay,
all-
we've got like 2 minutes.
I did all this with Ashlyn
Yes.
and Kirsten. I've not done any of this with Hallie.
I was just
You
thinking.
need to get busy.
I know.
I know I made my notes.
Oh, sorry, Hallie.
sorry,
It's
Hallie.
coming.
You're good.
Okay. So, Connie, we've got like a minute before we have to start signing off. What's the most important thing that you want somebody to know? I know.
Work on your credit. Look at your credit. I guess the most important thing would be to know what is on your credit. If you don't know and you don't know how to fix it, then that is the worst thing. So, but with you guys, with Kendra, with Brian, anyone can come out here and at their office at, what's your office address?
2411 Williams Avenue.
Okay. They can come out here. They can sit down and talk with you guys. Maybe you're looking at buying a home 2 years from now. You've got 2 years to work on that. These
Right.
people are knowledgeable. They can help you.
We're okay investing the time.
Yeah. And
Happy to.
if you want a one-on-one with me, I'm sure they'd let me use an office and we could sit down and talk. But your credit is so important because it's ever evolving. Like I said, it changes monthly.
Absolutely.
As long as you're alive and as long as you're using credit and you're going to need credit all of your life, work on it. Make it work for you. You need to get the very lowest interest rate. And by having good credit, that's how you do it.
I love it. I appreciate you again for coming in and visiting
Thank
with
you
us.
for
Some of
inviting
it's
me.
just fun to hang out, but we appreciate all of this is practical tips and this is valuable insight. And so we appreciate you making the show these last 2 times.
No problem. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. It's the Brian and Kendra Show. I'm Brian Cook, 580-334-2303.
And I'm Kendra Brown, 580-216-0090.
We'll catch you next time.
See you later.